the loud room of the event. So today I'm gonna speak about Paper 002 and how Voodoo managed to maintain this game on top. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Rafael Kieling. I'm Brazilian, by the way, as you can see by my last name and my look and feel. I'm a UA manager. It's been 10 years that I'm in the mobile industry, and I've been 2 years in Voodoo already. Do you all know Voodoo? Probably yes, probably no. So we have over 7 billion downloads, 150 monthly active users, and it's a big company that just acquired Be Real as well. But today is not about Voodoo, it's not about myself, it's about Paper IO2, the game that I manage in Voodoo. So Paper IO2, it's a game that has simple onboarding. It's a very hyper-casual game by basis, has simple onboarding. It's a very fun mechanics for the users to play. And also it's super satisfying. So as you can see, this is the game from 2018 when the game was launched. And back then, in 2018, the things were way different on the industry. So 6 years ago, the industry was full of hyper-casual. So we were swimming the wave of hyper-casual back then. The CPIs were very, very low. Our monetization was super high. Everybody was making money, launching games, having fun, and etc. Until this guy came out. So when Apple changed the rules of the game, Voodoo had to change also its strategy. We understood that we had to change to a better and more precise UA, and also in terms of product as well. And to do that, we applied a few key elements to grow, and I'll share with you a few key insights regarding product, monetization, and creatives. So when it comes to product, what we realized that we had to do to change the game after iOS 14 is to truly understand the audience. It's a very simple statement, but very difficult to put into action. So understanding your audience, it doesn't mean that you need to understand the demographics, if it's male or female that plays your game, but you have to understand why do they play their game? Why do they come back to your game every now and then? Why do they tell them to your friends, tell them their friends to go download your game, and why they have a good retention on your game? And once you realize that, you have to also understand what's the core of your game. Like in the case of Paper, the core of the game was a simple, fun, and easy game to play. So this was the core that remained untouched every now and then when we developed more products, more feature to put into the game. And then in the product side, we also had to set clear objectives. Another simple statement, but very hard to apply in real life. By clear objectives, what I mean is that you have to have a roadmap with mid-term objectives, short-term objectives, and long-term objectives to understand what's the impact, the easiness, and the confidence of every feature you're developing that's going to affect the life of the users and their experience. So having this clear roadmap is extremely essential for the development of the product itself. But the clear objectives, it needs to be flexible as well. Because if you have a roadmap, it's not flexible, you will not be able to move fast enough to improve the product. And once at Voodoo, we have thousands of games that are live, and we see a lot of good features in other games that we like to apply in Paper, and we need to have this flexibility to do it very fast. Now we're going to the Mono team. The Mono team also, they need to deeply understand their own strategy. And also, of course, it's another simple statement, but it's a very challenging one. Once we launched Paper, it was a very hyper-casual game with full of ads, FS, RVs, bombarding the users. And it was something that they complained all the time, like, guys, we cannot play the game because it's full of ads. So we started to understand, okay, which type of monetization strategy should we use? What are the pros and the cons of moving towards an IAP strategy or relying on an ads-based strategy? So you have to understand pretty well how is your monetization strategy, how should you implement FS, RVs, and where, and also to understand that the user experience will be heavily damaged if you do a small mistake on the monet side. We also did tons of A/B tests. So once we understood our monetization strategy for paper and we wanted to improve it, we also started running thousands and thousands of A/B testings when it comes to FS frequency, where to put the FS, the RVs, where to put the RVs, banners, new type of monetization structures, and also to A/B test the IAP pricing, which is super relevant, even for a game that's extremely hyper casual as paper. And another point that's super relevant for Monet back then, and I always think with the Monet team, me being a UA, and I think it's extremely important for them, it's to brainstorm new ideas to develop the game economy. That's the brainstorming part and the benchmarking part. It's very normal to see it when it comes to creatives, where the creative teams start benchmarking other games and having brainstorms. But I also try to push the Monet team to do the same thing, so they can understand what the other games are doing when it comes to monetization, to see if there's anything that we can try to A/B on paper that could work and improve our revenue stream, and also improve without damaging the user experience. When it comes to creatives, it's a big topic. It's a very complex topic. I could be here talking 3 hours about creatives and how we develop very good creatives. And what's the process and how to break this black box, which is creative testing. But I'll try to remain in 2 points. One, it's benchmark and brainstorming. First, we divide ourselves trying to go external to get external ideas on the production, meaning that we are trying to understand what other games are doing, how are their assets built, if they're getting some trend in terms of creatives, if they're using AI, if they're using end cards, if they, I don't know, what type of colors, how is the duration of their creatives, if they're using playables. So there's tons of things that we try to understand in our competitors, what they're doing, so we can try to test that on paper to see if that's gonna work. Same thing, we use it internally. We pick our creative team and we develop several brainstorming sessions, so we can also have this inspiration and creativity, develop it in our own ideas. As well as iteration and going disruptive. For us to have a clear and good creative strategy, it's very important to understand what is working for us and iterate on that. So normally we get the best creatives that we have and do small iterations, like either by putting small assets or, as I mentioned before, changing the duration of the creative, implementing an end card. So those small iterations can sustain your growth for a long time. But if you remain very stuck in those creatives and the iterations, you have fatigue very fast. So in the meanwhile, while we're iterating on the creatives that we are already working, we also try to go disruptive on the side. So we start building creatives that has nothing to do with our top creatives, and then we see, and when we see like any good metric of those, then we start iterating them back on. So this is the part I think that will be more fun. This is the part that I know better. But one thing before jumping to the UA essentials, which is my part, it's important to realize that the UA doesn't run the game by itself. So all the other teams, as you've seen, the monetization, the product, and the creative, is extremely essential for you as a UA that you're running your game owner, to be in sync with them. So in my case, in Voodoo, I have a weekly meeting with the product, with the Monet, and with the creative team, so we can be all in the same page to see where the game is going. Because at the end of the day, the game is not like an institution. The game are just the people doing the game back before it. So we have to team up and have a clear state of, okay, what were we doing that's going toward the objective of either increasing the budget, either increasing the revenue, either increasing the lifetime value of the user. So we need to be on the same page, because any false steps from all the other teams can damage either my work, either the monetization work, either the product work. So we need to be very clear on that state, on the synchronization between the teams. Yay. Cool. So one of the UA essentials for me is the empirical knowledge. It's a very difficult thing to have. And empirical knowledge means the hands-on experience of a UA. It's something that you don't get by attending to courses or talking to you have to very experience the game that you're working with by heart. You have to know how to read complex metrics. You have to get knowledge from your colleagues, from your company. You have to know how is the elasticity of the game, how are the networks working, how is your product working, what are they developing. So you need to really know your game by heart, and it's something extremely difficult to have. So you need to develop this by time and also sharing your knowledge with your friends, with your colleagues, and people from your same industry. Second part, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I think you heard this several times when you attend to conferences and etc. But it's a very clear statement, because if you see one network that's working for your game and you try to push that network to be more profitable, even though it's great because you have a better ROAS, you're going to be more profitable, at the end of the day, you might become a hostage of that same network. So if you see a good network that's working, try to push it, but try to diversify your portfolio as much as you can. Because if that big network that you have all your share of voice on it starts fluctuating in terms of CPM, or even your ad starts becoming fatigued, then you're completely screwed and you have to act very fast to change the strategy. And sometimes you don't do that fast enough. So it's important to have a healthy portfolio of networks working at the same time. And the portfolio of networks, it's also important to the monetization team, because if you rely only in one network, the pool of users that you have on the monetization side will be very similar. So we have to be very healthy in terms of the share of voice of your portfolio on networks. Perfect. Test and test often. This is also something that you might have seen quite a lot on the events that you need to test. You need to do test all the time. And it's a very true statement, to be honest, because sometimes you build one new test and it can work pretty well, and sometimes it doesn't. But what I try to state with this is that if you do a test today, whether a new campaign type, whether a new type of network, and that doesn't work, you have to retest it after 3, 4, 6 months once again, because the network might have changed its inventory, the CPMs are different, your creatives are different, the whole AI of the network is different. So you need to test always and often, all the time. Don't stop if the test goes negative, just retest it after a while again. And then the Pareto principle, I know I see a few UAs now here in the audience. The Pareto principle is something that I use personally to try to understand my priorities when I do UA. So as a UA, you have thousands and thousands of tasks every day to comply with, to do. And you have to understand which are the tasks that are going to give you the best results. And the Pareto principles means that 80% of your results might come from 20% of your efforts, of your inputs. So this is very valuable when it comes to understanding which network to push first, which geo you should put your attention with, and then all the others, like if you have any other not important things, you have to leave it to the side, but focus first, like in the first things first, that will generate more revenue and profit for you along the way. Seasonality, it's something that happens to all games, and it's something a little bit complex to react to, but it's something that you need to have in your mind, that your game will have ups and downs, that in some months you will be amazing, in some other months it will not be good at all, and you have to leverage it, because taking a look at historical data, you see that in some months, like CPIs will go crazy, or like above or low. Like for example, in December, everybody surfs the waves of Q4, but right after, everybody crashes. And you need to leverage that seasonality to either get more profits or afterwards to avoid losing a lot of money. So it's something important, and it's something that we need to take care and react fast when you see like very different trends of the market. Also, one of UA sections, ASO localization. I would say that ASO is not like a huge thing that can have a huge impact. You shouldn't waste that much time on it. At least is my opinion. But it's something that's a low-hanging fruit that can actually help your game scale pretty much. And even if we think nowadays, when we have all the tools of AI that you can build a description, short descriptions, even icons super fast, So it's a need for you to test. You need to be testing A/B tests on both stores because otherwise the game will not update itself. You might lose your ranking on the both of stores. So the ASO is a very basic thing that you should not waste a lot of time, but have a support of AI tools to keep on testing over and over and over again. Localization, same wise. Your game needs to be localized into the main countries that you're pushing your UA side on it. And also in the creative part, you need to do it localization as well. I mean, not exhaustively, because it can take a lot of time from your creative team, but with the help of the AI tools that we have at the moment, like 11 Labs and a few other platforms, you can do it pretty fast and pretty often. So it's something that you need to take into account when you're doing the UA sessions. And to finish the UA essentials, as I mentioned before, it's important to have a very, very, very good sync with the mono team, with the product team, and with the creative team, and also to your own UA peers and the company, if you have any others, to share the knowledge you're having with the campaign, which type of campaign is working, which type of creative is working, or if you see any monetization fluctuation on your game and all the others. So having this clear and good sync with all your UA colleagues, it's something that you need to have in mind when you start doing UA for your own game. So after applying several of the steps, I know it looks very simple and it's actually pretty complex to put all of them into action. We reached like how paper is today. So we developed several meta games on paper. Still, as I mentioned, the core is pretty much the same. You are just a square that you need to close your own map, kill your enemies, and the monetization is pretty much the same. We did some upgrades, but all those points that I mentioned for you before, they managed to us to constantly be on the top of both store, like Android and iOS, and the game has already 6 years old, so it's something like very valuable for us. We managed to double the data retention in 2 years, which is huge. Increase the LTV of the user. It gives us also like more flexibility when it comes to UA. And on the UA side, we're doing pretty well. We have like 200K installs per day. It's quite huge with 5 million daily active users, which is also pretty huge for a hyper-casual game that started 6 years ago, and now it's going pretty well. And I would say that will be it. I left a lot of time for questions, so thank you. Anyone has any questions regarding the whole process on Voodoo and essentials of your own games and how should we put the UA?
Hello. Well, maybe it's not in your about your profile, but why Voodoo, for instance, has acquired in the last week Be Real, and how that has something in relation with Voodoo as a mobile gaming company. What do you think the purpose of doing that, and how can you relate it with mobile gaming?
No, it's all right, it's all right. I had this question quite a few times today. I don't have a lot of visibility when it comes to like what we're gonna be doing with Voodoo, how we're gonna how we're gonna monetize the app. There's a few ideas and some tests already ongoing. But you have to think Voodoo, it's not only a gaming company. We started a few years ago to try to develop also apps. We have Wiz as an app, WeMoms, and several others to try to be also healthy when it comes to our own portfolio. So we want to grow apps and games. And the Be Real was actually a surprising move even for people who Voodoo, which is a very good one because everyone that's a Be Real users, they like to use the app. And now what we're gonna do with it, I don't have a clear visibility. I know it's a huge challenge for Voodoo because the game itself, it doesn't have its monetization side very well developed. And we as Voodoo, we have already this knowledge. So how can we integrate our monetization strategy, our game economy into an app as huge as Be Real? So it will be certainly a big challenge when it comes to achieving more users with Be Real. Anyone else? Another question?
Hello. So you mentioned one of the suggestions is to be disruptive, right? And the user acquisition strategy. So I'm just curious. I don't know if you can share that information, but what was the last disruptive idea that you used in user acquisition, specifically in creative sites?
Yes, so this is also a big question. What we're trying to do, and we're leveraging quite a lot now, it's a TikTok creative challenge. And I don't know if you guys know what is it. It's basically you build a brief to TikTok. TikTok will provide user-generated content for your ads. So, and the good thing is that those briefs are fulfilled and done very fast. So you can generate user-generated content very fast and test them out. And since they are generated by real TikTok users, they go insane on the creativity. And after you can approve it or disapprove it and then run in your UA campaigns. But I would guess that's the most disruptive thing that we started doing is like really partnering up with TikTok and letting the users make their own ads for us. So this was extremely nice. Besides of that, the disruptive part, I would say is the AI integration that we use on our ads, either to build localization, either to build our own UGC content based on AI. So I think this also creates a disruption, not only on the ads, but also the way that we work. Because if we think about creating, like having a workload of creatives and we test thousands of creatives every week. So having the AI and being able to be disruptive on the work, like building them up, it's already very nice for everyone, and I think that can really help the UA, the creative process, and the whole game as a whole. Anyone else? That'll be it. All right. Thank you, guys.